Hey, everyone. I just had to share this here because I don't even know what to think anymore. This story is so wild and unexpected that it almost feels like a bad movie plot, but sadly, it's my reality. So my wife, let's call her Sarah, and I have been married for 5 years. We don't have kids, which in hindsight might be a blessing given what went down. About a month ago, Sarah asked me for money to take a 2-week vacation by herself. She said she needed some me time to rest and rejuvenate. I thought, why not? She's been working hard, and we all need to break sometimes. So I handed her the money, and she booked a nice hotel at a beach resort. For the first week, everything seemed normal. She'd call every day, telling me about the beach, the food, and how relaxing it was. But then things started to get weird. Her calls became less frequent, and she stopped replying to my texts. I tried calling her on Telegram, but she didn't answer. One night, I got this gut feeling that something was off. I couldn't sleep, so I decided to drive to the resort and see for myself. When I got there, I asked the bartender if he had seen Sarah. He told me she had been hanging out with some rich guy who looked about 30. My heart sank. I asked for more details, and he mentioned they left together and were staying in the hotel's private suite. I decided to find out where this guy lived. With some asking around and a bit of luck, I located his house. It was a fancy place, all glass windows and luxury. As I approached, I couldn't believe what I saw. Through the large glass window, I could see Sarah and this guy having sex right there in the living room. They were so into each other that they didn't even notice me standing there watching. I was in shock, but I pulled out my phone and started filming them. My hands were shaking, but I got everything on video. Suddenly, rage took over. I started banging on the window and screaming at them. That's when they finally noticed me. Sarah looked horrified, and the guy just smirked like he had won some twisted game. I couldn't hold back. I smashed the window and stormed inside, attacking the guy. We ended up in a full-blown fight, rolling around and throwing punches. Sarah, the bitch, didn't even try to stop us. Instead, she grabbed her things and ran out screaming like a hysterical banshee. Eventually, the cops were called, and I was arrested for assault. The judge didn't care about my story or the video. I was sentenced to 2 years in prison for the attack. Now I'm sitting here in myself thinking about everything that happened. Sarah's out there somewhere, probably lying to everyone about what went down. I can't believe I trusted her, gave her everything she asked for, and this is how she repaid me. I'm sharing this because I want others to know that sometimes the person you trust the most can turn out to be the biggest liar and betrayer. Watch out for the red flags and trust your instincts. I ignored mine, and now I'm paying the price. So after getting sentenced to 2 years for assaulting the guy Sarah was with, I had a lot of time to think. The first few weeks in prison were rough. I kept replaying the scene over and over in my head, wondering how everything went so wrong. Sarah, meanwhile, had vanished from my life. No calls, no letters, nothing. I had some mutual friends try to reach out, but she spun the story so that I was the bad guy who lost his temper for no reason. Of course, she didn't mention the part where she was screwing another man while on the vacation I paid for. One day, about a month into my sentence, I got a visit from my lawyer. He had some surprising news. "She's filing for divorce," he said. "But there's more. She's claiming you were abusive, and that's why she left you." My jaw dropped. I couldn't believe she was twisting the knife even further. "You have to be kidding me. She's lying through her teeth." "Yeah, I know," he said. "But without evidence to the contrary, her story might hold up in court." "You still have that video?" I nodded. "Yes, but I don't see how it helps. It shows me attacking the guy, not what led up to it." He gave me a small, knowing smile. "It might not be direct evidence, but it shows a part of the truth. We'll need to gather more. Any chance you can get someone on the outside to help dig up information on her?" This is where things got interesting. I called up my buddy Mark, who was always good at finding things out. He agreed to help and started digging into Sarah's new life. A week later, he visited me with some jaw-dropping news. "Dude, you won't believe this," Mark said, leaning in. "Sarah's been seeing that rich guy Derek for months. They've been traveling together, hitting up fancy spots all over the place. But how? She didn't have money for that kind of lifestyle," I replied, confused. "She doesn't, but he does. And get this, Derek's married. His wife, Lisa, is a big deal in their circle, and she has no idea." I did some snooping and found out they're trying to keep things hush-hush because Derek's wife controls most of their assets. Now, this was the leverage I needed. I couldn't use it directly in court, but it gave me a plan. If I could get Derek's wife to find out about the affair, it might cause enough chaos to swing things in my favor. Mark managed to find Lisa's contact info. I wrote a letter explaining everything, including details of their trips and how I ended up in jail because of it. I even enclosed a copy of the video, blurring out the explicit parts but keeping enough to show Sarah and Derek together. A few days later, I got word back from Lisa. She was furious, not at me, but at Derek and Sarah. She promised to take action and assured me that she would not let them get away with it. Next forward a month, and things started to unravel for Sarah and Derek. Lisa filed for divorce and froze Derek's assets, leaving him high and dry. Sarah's plans came crashing down and she suddenly had no one to support her lavish lifestyle. Meanwhile, my lawyer was able to use Lisa's actions and her support to help my case. The court began to see that there was more to my story, and the evidence of Sarah's lies started to surface. It wasn't an immediate turnaround, but it was a step in the right direction. By the end of my second month in prison, Sarah's credibility was in tatters. She tried to reach out to me, probably to make amends or manipulate me, but I refused to see her. She was no longer a part of my life, and I was determined to come out of this stronger and smarter. Now I'm focusing on getting through my sentence, knowing that when I get out, I'll have a fresh start. It's not the ending I envisioned, but it's a new beginning where I'll be free from lies and betrayal. So, while I was still serving my sentence, things continued to unravel for Sarah and Derek. After Lisa froze his assets, Derek had to move out of their lavish home and into a smaller place. Sarah, who had been living off his wealth, found herself in a tight spot. She had to get a job to support herself, and let's just say she wasn't used to that kind of life. Meanwhile, in prison, I was focusing on staying strong and keeping my head down. I made a few friends who helped me get through the days, and I even started working out regularly. It was therapeutic and gave me a sense of control in a situation where I felt powerless. One day, about 6 months into my sentence, I got a surprise visit from Mark. He had more updates for me. "You won't believe this," he said, grinning. "Derek's wife Lisa is going all out in the divorce. She's not only taking him to the cleaners, but also suing Sarah for alienation of affection. It's a long shot, but she's got the money to make it hurt." I couldn't help but laugh. Serves them both right. "What about Sarah? How's she holding up?" "Not great," Mark replied. "She's working at a small boutique, barely making ends meet. She tried to get back with Derek, but he's a mess without his money and doesn't want anything to do with her now." Hearing this gave me a strange sense of satisfaction. It wasn't just about revenge, it was about seeing justice being served. Sarah and Derek had destroyed my life, and now they were facing the consequences of their actions. As the months went by, I focused on my parole hearing. My lawyer was confident that we had a good case, especially with Lisa's support. Finally, the day came and I stood before the parole board hoping for a chance to get out early. To my relief, they granted me parole. I was ecstatic. It wasn't the end of my sentence, but it was a significant step toward rebuilding my life. I thanked my lawyer and everyone who supported me and walked out of that prison with a renewed sense of purpose. The first thing I did was meet up with Mark and some close friends. We celebrated my release, and I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. However, there was still one thing left to do: confront Sarah and close that chapter of my life. I found out where she was living, nothing like the luxury she had with Derek. I decided to pay her a visit. When I knocked on her door, she opened it and her face went pale. "What are you doing here?" she stammered. "I'm here to talk," I said, keeping my voice calm. "We need to settle things once and for all." She let me in and we sat down. She looked miserable and I almost felt sorry for her, almost. "I'm sorry for everything," she began, tears welling up in her eyes. "I made a terrible mistake and I've paid for it dearly." "I'm not here to make you feel worse," I replied, "but I need you to understand what you did to me. You destroyed our marriage, my trust, and my life. I ended up in prison because of you." She nodded, sobbing. "I know, and I'm so sorry. I was selfish and stupid. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I needed you to know that I regret everything." I took a deep breath, feeling a sense of closure. "I don't forgive you, Sarah, but I'm ready to move on." I want nothing to do with you from now on. This is the last time we'll ever speak." She cried harder, but I felt nothing but a cold detachment. I stood up and left, closing the door on that chapter of my life for good. As I walked away, I felt a strange sense of peace. The past was behind me, and the future was a blank slate. I didn't know what was next, but I knew I could face it without the shadow of Sarah's betrayal hanging over me. After my visit to Sarah, I felt a strange mix of relief and emptiness. On one hand, I had finally confronted her and made my peace with the situation. On the other hand, I was stepping into a future that was completely uncertain. I had no job, no home, and a criminal record. It was daunting, but I was determined to make the most of this second chance. First things first, I needed a place to stay. Mark offered me his couch until I could get back on my feet. He also hooked me up with a part-time job at his cousin's auto repair shop. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest work, and it gave me a sense of purpose. Plus, working with my hands kept my mind off everything that had happened. One day, while working on a car, I got a call from my lawyer. He had some unexpected news. "Lisa wants to meet you," he said. "She's grateful for your help and wants to discuss something important." I was intrigued, but also cautious. Meeting Lisa, Derek's wife, could be complicated. However, curiosity got the best of me, and I agreed to meet her at a local cafe. When I arrived, Lisa was already there, looking composed and determined. "Thank you for meeting me," she said, offering a small smile. "I wanted to thank you personally for exposing Derek and helping me see the truth," I nodded. "I'm just glad to see some justice being served. What did you want to talk about?" Lisa took a deep breath. "I've been thinking a lot about what happened and how both of us were betrayed. I know you're trying to rebuild your life, and I want to help. I have a proposition for you." I raised an eyebrow. Curious. What kind of proposition? "Well, as you know, I've taken over most of Derek's assets, including some of his business ventures. There's a small company that needs a new manager, someone I can trust. I've seen your work history, and I think you'd be perfect for the job." I was stunned. "You're offering me a job?" "Yes," Lisa said firmly. "I believe in second chances, and I think you deserve one. Plus, it would be nice to have someone I can trust running the business. It's a way for both of us to move forward." I couldn't believe my luck. This was the break I needed. "Thank you, Lisa. I don't know what to say." "Just say yes and let's both start fresh," she replied with a warm smile. I accepted the job, and within a week I was the new manager of a small but promising tech company. It felt surreal, going from prison to a managerial position in such a short time. But I was determined to prove myself and make the most of this opportunity. As I settled into my new role, I found myself focusing more on the future and less on the past. The team at the company was great, and I quickly earned their respect by working hard and being fair. The job was challenging but fulfilling, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like I had a purpose. One evening, as I was wrapping up work, I got a call from Mark. "Hey man, there's something you need to know," he said, sounding serious. "What's up?" I asked. My curiosity piqued. "It's about Sarah. She's been trying to reach you. She's in trouble and needs your help." I felt a pang of irritation. Why would I want to help her after everything she did? "I get it," Mark said, "but it sounds serious. She's really hit rock bottom. Maybe you should at least hear her out." Just my better judgment, I agreed to meet Sarah one last time. We arranged to meet at a neutral location, a park we used to visit when things were good between us. When I saw her, she looked like a shadow of her former self. Her eyes were tired, and she seemed genuinely distressed. "Thank you for coming," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "What do you want, Sarah?" I asked, trying to keep my tone neutral. "I know I don't deserve your help, but I have nowhere else to turn," she said, tears streaming down her face. "Derek left me with nothing. I've lost my job, my apartment, everything. I'm scared, and I don't know what to do." Part of me wanted to walk away, but another part, the part that remembered the good times we shared, felt a twinge of sympathy. "Why should I help you after everything you've done?" "I understand if you don't want to," she said, sobbing. "But I'm truly sorry for everything. I was selfish and stupid. I've paid the price, and I just need a chance to start over." I took a deep breath, weighing my options. Finally, I spoke. "I'll help you this one last time, but then we're done. You need to take responsibility for your life and make better choices." Sarah nodded, looking relieved. "Thank you. I promise I'll do better." I helped her find a temporary place to stay and connected her with a job at the auto repair shop where I used to work. It wasn't much, but it was a start. And with that, I finally felt like I could close the chapter on our tumultuous relationship. Now, I'm focused on my new job and rebuilding my life. It's not easy, but I'm determined to make the most of this second chance. Thanks for sticking with me through this journey. I'll keep you updated as things progress. After helping Sarah get back on her feet, I felt like I could finally move on with my life. The job at Lisa's tech company was going great, and I was starting to feel like myself again, but life has a way of throwing curveballs. And just when I thought things were settling down, another unexpected event shook things up. One evening I got a call from Lisa. She sounded urgent. "Can you come over to the office? There's something we need to discuss in person." When I arrived, Lisa was pacing in her office, looking stressed. "What's going on?" I asked, concerned. She handed me a document. "It's Derek. He's suing me, claiming that I wrongfully took control of his assets. He's trying to get back everything I took in the divorce." I felt a wave of anger. "That bastard! After everything he did, he has the nerve to try and take you down." Lisa nodded. "I need your help. Your testimony about his affair with Sarah is crucial. It's the only way to prove his misconduct and protect what's rightfully mine." I agreed without hesitation. "Of course, I'll do whatever it takes to help you." The next few weeks were a blur of meetings with lawyers, gathering evidence and preparing for the court case. It was stressful, but I was determined to see this through. I owed it to Lisa for giving me a second chance and to myself for closure. The day of the court hearing arrived, and I stood by Lisa's side as we faced Derek and his legal team. He looked smug, confident that he could win, but as the proceedings began, it became clear that he had underestimated us. Lisa's lawyer presented a solid case, highlighting Derek's affair and his attempts to hide assets. My testimony was crucial, detailing the events that led to my imprisonment and how Derek and Sarah's actions had destroyed my marriage. As I spoke, I could see Derek's confidence waver. He knew the truth was coming out. After several tense hours, the judge finally gave his verdict. Derek's lawsuit was dismissed, and Lisa retained control of the assets. It was a huge relief, and as we left the courtroom, Lisa hugged me tightly. "Thank you. I couldn't have done this without you." With the court case behind us, life started to settle down again. I continued to thrive in my job, and Lisa and I became close friends. We bonded over our shared experiences and supported each other as we rebuilt our lives. One evening, Lisa invited me over for dinner to celebrate our victory. As we sat on her patio, enjoying the cool evening breeze, she looked at me thoughtfully. "You know, we've been through a lot together. I feel like we've both come out stronger." I nodded. "Absolutely. It's been a tough journey, but I'm grateful for where I am now." Lisa hesitated for a moment, then continued. "I've been thinking maybe it's time for a fresh start in more ways than one. How would you feel about starting something new, together?" Her words took me by surprise, but as I looked into her eyes, I realized that I felt the same way. We had both been through so much pain and betrayal, but we had also found strength and support in each other. Maybe it was time to take a leap of faith. "I'd like that," I said, smiling. "I think we both deserve a chance at happiness." From that moment, Lisa and I began to explore a new chapter in our relationship. It wasn't always easy. Trust issues and past wounds sometimes resurfaced, but we were committed to making it work. We had both learned the hard way that honesty and communication were essential. As months passed, our bond grew stronger. We supported each other through the ups and downs, and for the first time in a long while, I felt truly happy. My past with Sarah was finally behind me, and I was looking forward to a future with Lisa. I've come a long way from the days of betrayal and heartbreak. This journey has taught me so much about resilience, forgiveness, and the importance of second chances. Life is unpredictable, but it's also full of possibilities. I'm excited to see where this new path with Lisa takes me. Thanks for following along with my story. Your support has been incredible, and I'll keep you updated as things continue to progress. Stay strong, everyone, and remember that even in the darkest times, there's always hope for a brighter future. Things with Lisa were going great. We were taking things slow, but it felt good to be in a healthy, supportive relationship. We both had our scars, but we were healing together. Life was finally starting to look up, and I was excited about the future. One weekend, Lisa and I decided to take a trip to the coast. We wanted to get away from everything and just enjoy some time together. The beach was beautiful, and it felt like the perfect place to relax and forget about all the drama. One evening, as we were walking along the shore, Lisa turned to me with a serious expression. "There's something I need to tell you," she said. My heart skipped a beat. "What is it?" She took a deep breath. "I've been thinking a lot about us and our future. I know we've both been through a lot, but I want you to know that I'm all in. I love you, and I can't imagine my life without you." Her words took me by surprise. We had been growing closer, but hearing her say she loved me was a huge step. "I love you too, Lisa," I replied, feeling a rush of emotions. "I want a future with you as well." We spent the rest of the evening talking about our hopes and dreams. It felt incredible to be so open and honest with each other. For the first time in a long while, I felt truly happy and hopeful about the future. The next few months were a whirlwind of activity. Lisa and I moved in together, and I continued to thrive in my job at her company. We were building a life together, and it felt like everything was falling into place. But life has a way of throwing curveballs, and just when things were looking perfect, another unexpected event shook things up. One day at work, I got a call from an unknown number. I answered, and to my shock, it was Sarah. "I need to talk to you," she said, her voice sounding frantic. I felt a mix of anger and curiosity. "What do you want, Sarah? It's important. Please, can we meet? I'm glad you've completed." Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet her at a coffee shop. When I arrived, she looked even worse than the last time I saw her. "What's going on?" I asked, trying to keep my tone neutral. "I'm in trouble," she said, tears streaming down her face. "Derek's been harassing me ever since Lisa won the court case. He blames me for everything, and he's making my life a living hell." I was stunned. "Why are you telling me this? What do you expect me to do?" "I don't know." She sobbed. I have no one else to turn to. I need your help." I took a deep breath, feeling conflicted. Part of me wanted to walk away, but another part remembered the person I used to love. "Sarah, I don't know how I can help you. You need to go to the police if he's harassing you." "I've tried," she said, shaking her head. "They don't take me seriously. They think it's just a lover's quarrel." I thought for a moment. "All right, I'll see what I can do. But this is the last time. You need to take responsibility for your life and make better choices." She nodded, looking relieved. "Thank you, I promise I'll do better." I called Mark and told him about the situation. He agreed to help and started looking into Derek's activities. A few days later, he had some information. Derek's been using some shady tactics to harass Sarah. Mark said he's been sending threatening messages and even showed up at her workplace a few times. We gathered all the evidence and took it to the police. With the concrete proof, they finally took action and issued a restraining order against Derek. Sarah was safe for now. With that crisis averted, I hoped I could finally move on and focus on my life with Lisa. But just when I thought things were settling down, another unexpected twist came my way. One evening, Lisa and I were having dinner when she got a call from her lawyer. She stepped outside to take it, and when she came back, she looked shaken. "What's wrong?" I asked, concerned. "It's about Derek," she said, sitting down. "He's being investigated for fraud. Apparently, he's been embezzling money from one of his companies, and they're closing in on him." I was stunned. "What does that mean for us?" "It means things are about to get even more complicated," she replied. "If he goes down, there could be a lot of fallout, and we might get dragged into it." We spent the next few days preparing for the worst. We hired a lawyer to protect our interests and made sure all our finances were in order. It was a stressful time, but we were determined to face it together. As the investigation progressed, more details about Derek's shady dealings came to light. He had been funneling money through various shell companies and hiding his tracks well, but eventually the authorities caught up with him and he was arrested. The news was a relief, but it also meant that our lives were about to be scrutinized. We braced ourselves for the media attention and the potential fallout. Through it all, Lisa and I supported each other. We knew that no matter what happened, we had each other, and that was enough. Thanks for sticking with me through this journey. It's been a wild ride, but I'm grateful for all the support. I'll keep you updated as things continue to unfold. After Derek's arrest, things got chaotic. The media was all over the story, and Lisa and I had to navigate through the scrutiny and questions. We stayed low-key, avoiding any unnecessary attention. It wasn't easy, but we were determined to stick together and get through this. One evening, as we were relaxing at home, Lisa received a call from her lawyer. After she hung up, she looked both relieved and anxious. "What's going on?" I asked. "They found more evidence against Derek," she said. "It's looking like he's going away for a long time, but there's also something else. They discovered that he had been using some of his embezzled funds to pay off people, including Sarah." I was shocked. "Sarah? What for?" "Apparently he was paying her to keep quiet about some of his other activities." Lisa explained. It looks like she knew more about his fraud than she let on. This revelation hit me like a ton of bricks. I thought Sarah was just a victim in all this, but it turns out she was involved on a deeper level. That made me question everything I thought I knew about her. A few days later, Sarah reached out to me again. This time I was less inclined to help, but I agreed to meet her one last time. We met at the same coffee shop, and she looked even more desperate than before. "Why didn't you tell me you were involved in Derek's schemes?" I asked, trying to keep my anger in check. "I didn't know how to," she said, tears streaming down her face. "He threatened me, told me he'd ruined my life if I said anything. I was scared." "Sarah, you've been lying to me this whole time. How can I trust anything you say now?" I demanded. "I know I've made terrible mistakes," she sobbed, "but I swear I only did what I had to do to survive. Please, you have to believe me." I took a deep breath, feeling conflicted. One of me wanted to walk away and leave her to deal with her mess. But another part, the part that remembered the person I once loved, felt a twinge of sympathy. "Sarah, you need to come clean," I said finally. "If you don't, you're going to go down with Derek. You need to tell the authorities everything you know." She nodded, wiping her tears. "I will. I'll do it. Thank you for giving me another chance." With that, I walked away, hoping she'd make the right choice this time. I returned to Lisa and told her everything. She was supportive, as always, and we decided to focus on moving forward. The next few weeks were a blur. Sarah did come clean, and her cooperation helped bring more of Derek's activities to light. It didn't absolve her of her involvement, but it did earn her some leniency. She was given a reduced sentence in exchange for her testimony against Derek. As for Derek, he was found guilty on multiple counts of fraud and embezzlement. He was sentenced to a lengthy prison term, and the fallout from his actions continued to ripple through the community. It was a relief to see justice served, but it also meant dealing with the aftermath. Lisa and I stayed strong through it all. Our bond grew even stronger as we navigated the challenges together. We learned to lean on each other and find strength in our relationship. We made plans for the future, dreaming of a life free from the shadows of our past. One evening, as we were sitting on the patio enjoying a quiet moment, Lisa turned to me with a smile. "You know, despite everything, I'm glad we found each other," she said. I smiled back. Me too. It's been a crazy ride, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. We toasted to our future, grateful for the second chances and the strength we found in each other. It wasn't the life we had planned, but it was our life, and we were ready to embrace it fully. Thanks for sticking with me through this journey. Your support has been incredible, and I'll keep you updated as we continue to build our future together. Life was finally starting to feel stable again. Derek was behind bars, and Sarah had started serving her reduced sentence. Lisa and I were focused on building our future together, and things were looking up. We decided it was time to take a much-needed vacation, a real one this time, to celebrate moving past all the chaos. We booked a trip to a quiet cabin in the mountains, away from the media and the stress of the city. It was the perfect escape. The fresh air, the serene environment, and the absence of any distractions were exactly what we needed. One morning, as we were sitting on the porch, sipping coffee and enjoying the view, Lisa turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "I've been thinking," she said, "about our future and everything we've been through." "Yeah, what's on your mind?" I asked, curious. "I want us to start fresh," she said, her eyes full of hope. "Let's leave all the past behind and focus on building something new. Together." I nodded, feeling the same way. I couldn't agree more. We've been through enough. It's time for a new beginning. We spent the rest of the trip planning our future. We talked about everything, our dreams, our goals, and even the possibility of starting a family someday. It was exciting and gave us both something positive to look forward to. When we returned home, we felt rejuvenated and ready to take on the world. Lisa suggested we move to a new city, away from all the memories of the past. I loved the idea. It was the perfect way to truly start over. We began looking for a new place, eventually settling on a charming town a few hours away. It was small enough to feel like a fresh start, but big enough to offer plenty of opportunities. We found a beautiful house and decided to make it our new home. As we were packing up our old place, I stumbled upon a box of old photos and letters from my time with Sarah. It was like a punch to the gut, bringing back all the memories I had tried to forget. I sat down, sifting through the box, feeling a mix of anger and sadness. Lisa found me sitting there, lost in thought. She knelt beside me, putting a hand on my shoulder. "Hey, it's okay. Those are just memories. They don't define who you are now or where we're going." I nodded, grateful for her support. "I know. It's just hard sometimes, seeing all this." "I understand," she said softly. "But remember, we're building something new, something better." With her encouragement, I packed up the box and decided to leave it behind. It was time to let go of the past and focus on our future. The move went smoothly, and soon we were settling into our new home. It felt like a weight had been lifted, and for the first time in a long time, I felt truly happy. We explored the town, met new people, and started making friends. One evening, as we were unpacking the last of our boxes, Lisa turned to me with a mischievous grin. "I have a surprise for you," she said. "What is it?" I asked, intrigued. She handed me a small, wrapped box. I opened it to find a key inside. "What's this for?" I asked, puzzled. "It's a key to our future," she said, her eyes twinkling. "I bought us a small plot of land just outside town. I thought we could build our dream home there together." I was stunned. "Lisa, this is incredible. I can't believe you did this." She smiled. "We deserve a fresh start, and I want us to build something beautiful together." Over the next few months, we started planning our dream home. It was a labor of love, and every step brought us closer together. We designed everything from the ground up, making sure it was perfect for us. As the house started to take shape, so did our future. We were building more than just a home. We were building a life together, one filled with hope and love. Through it all, we never forgot the lessons we had learned. Trust, communication, and honesty were the foundations of our relationship. We knew that no matter what challenges came our way, we could face them together. Thanks for following along with my story. Your support has been incredible, and I'll keep you updated as we continue to build our future. Stay strong, everyone, and remember that even after the darkest storms, the sun will always shine again. Building our dream home was one of the most fulfilling projects I've ever undertaken. Lisa and I poured our hearts into every detail, making sure it was a reflection of our new life together. We worked side by side, learning more about each other with every decision, every challenge, and every victory. One sunny afternoon, as we were putting the finishing touches on the garden, Lisa turned to me with a serious look on her face. "There's something I've been wanting to talk to you about," she said. I put down the shovel and gave her my full attention. "What's up?" She took a deep breath. "I've been thinking a lot about our future, especially after everything we've been through. I love you, and I want us to have a family." Her words warmed my heart. "I'd love that too, Lisa, more than anything. But there's something you need to know," she continued, her voice trembling slightly. "Before we start planning for a family, I need to make sure you're okay with something from my past." I felt a pang of anxiety. "What is it?" Lisa looked down, gathering her thoughts. "When I was married to Derek, I got pregnant. I was overjoyed, but Derek wasn't. He pressured me into having an abortion. I was devastated, but I went through with it because I thought it would save our marriage." I reached out and took her hand. "Lisa, I'm so sorry you had to go through that." She nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. "It's something I've carried with me for a long time. I need you to know this because I want us to be open and honest about everything. I want to start our family without any secrets between us." I pulled her into a hug, holding her tight. "Thank you for telling me. It doesn't change how I feel about you or our future. We're in this together and nothing will change that." She smiled through her tears. "I love you so much." "I love you too," I replied, feeling closer to her than ever before. With that, we started planning for the next big step in our lives, starting a family. It was an exciting and nerve-wracking time, but we faced it with the same determination and love that had gotten us through so much already. A few months later, we got the news we had been hoping for. Lisa was pregnant. We were overjoyed, and the anticipation of welcoming a new life into our world brought us even closer together. But as we prepared for our baby's arrival, another unexpected event shook things up. One evening, I received a call from an unknown number. When I answered, I was greeted by a familiar voice. "Hey, it's Mark. We need to talk." Mark and I had stayed in touch, but this call felt urgent. "What's going on?" I asked. "It's about Sarah," he said. "She's out on early parole and has been trying to reach you. She says it's important." I felt a mix of anger and apprehension. What could she possibly want now? "She wouldn't say over the phone," Mark replied, but she sounded desperate. "Maybe you should hear her out." Reluctantly, I agreed to meet Sarah one last time. We arranged to meet at a park, the same one where we had met when she first asked for help. When I saw her, she looked nervous and worn down by her time in prison. "Thank you for meeting me," she said, her voice trembling. "What do you want, Sarah?" I asked, keeping my tone neutral. "I know I don't deserve your help after everything I've done," she began, tears welling up in her eyes. "But I'm scared, and I don't know who else to turn to." "What's going on?" I asked, trying to stay patient. "It's Derek," she said, her voice breaking. "Even from prison, he's been finding ways to make my life miserable. I think he's having people follow me, harass me. I'm scared for my safety." I felt a wave of anger towards Derek, but I also felt a sense of responsibility. I said everything. Sarah was reaching out for help, and I couldn't just turn my back on her. "All right, I'll see what I can do," I said finally. "But this is the last time, Sarah. You need to take responsibility for your life and stay away from people like Derek." She nodded, looking relieved. "Thank you. I promise I'll do better." I contacted Mark and told him about the situation. He agreed to help investigate and find out if there was any truth to Sarah's claims. A few days later, he had some troubling news. "It looks like Derek has been using his connections to harass Sarah," Mark said. "He's been pulling strings from behind bars, and it's serious. We gathered all the evidence and went to the authorities. With the concrete proof, they took action and placed additional restrictions on Derek, ensuring he couldn't continue his harassment. With that crisis averted, I hoped it was the end of Derek's influence in our lives. This and I returned to focusing on our future and preparing for our baby's arrival. The day finally came, and we welcomed a beautiful baby girl into our lives. Holding her in my arms, I felt an overwhelming sense of love and gratitude. Despite all the hardships and betrayals, we had made it through and built something beautiful. As we settled into our new roles as parents, I reflected on the journey that had brought us here. It was filled with unexpected twists and turns, but it had also taught me so much about resilience, forgiveness, and the power of love. Thanks for following along with my story. Your support has been incredible, and I'll keep you updated as we continue to navigate this new chapter in our lives. Stay strong, everyone, and remember that even after the darkest storms, there's always hope for a brighter future. Life as new parents was both challenging and incredibly rewarding. Lisa and I quickly adapted to the sleepless nights and constant care our daughter needed. We named her Emma, and she brought so much joy into our lives. Every time I looked at her, I was reminded of the strength and love that had gotten us through the darkest times. Despite the happiness Emma brought, there were still lingering issues to address. This harassment had been halted, but the scars from those turbulent years remained. Lisa and I decided to start therapy together, not because our relationship was in trouble, but to ensure we could fully heal and move forward without the past haunting us. Therapy was eye-opening. We both learned a lot about ourselves and each other. It gave us the tools to communicate better and to support each other more effectively. We worked through the trauma, the trust issues, and the lingering fears. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. One day, during a particularly insightful session, our therapist suggested we do something symbolic to mark our fresh start. Lisa and I decided to renew our vows. It seemed like the perfect way to celebrate our love and the new life we were building together. We planned a small, intimate ceremony at our new home. Only our closest friends and family were invited. Mark, who had been a rock through all the chaos, agreed to be my best man. Lisa's sister, who had been a constant support for her, stood by her side. The day of the ceremony was beautiful. The sun was shining, and there was a sense of peace in the air. As Lisa walked down the aisle holding Emma in her arms, I felt a surge of emotions. This was the woman who had stood by me through everything, who had shown me what true love and resilience looked like. When she reached me, we exchanged vows that we had written ourselves. We promised to support each other, to be honest, and to face any challenge together. There wasn't a dry eye in the audience. It was a powerful, emotional moment that reaffirmed our commitment to each other and to our family. After the ceremony, we celebrated with our loved ones. It was a day filled with laughter, love, and hope for the future. As the sun set, I held Lisa and Emma close, feeling an overwhelming sense of gratitude. We had made it through so much, and now we were stronger than ever. A few months after the ceremony, I got an unexpected call from Sarah. She had completed her sentence and wanted to meet one last time. I was hesitant, but I agreed, hoping it would bring some final closure. We met at the same coffee shop where we had had so many difficult conversations. Sarah looked different, more mature, more at peace. "Thank you for meeting me," she said, her voice steady. "What do you need, Sarah?" I asked, bracing myself. "I wanted to apologize again," she said. "For everything. I know I've said it before, but I need you to know that I've changed. Prison gave me a lot of time to think and to grow. I've been going to therapy and working on myself." I nodded, feeling a sense of closure. "I'm glad to hear that, Sarah. I hope you find peace and happiness in your life." She smiled, a genuine heartfelt smile. "Thank you. I just wanted to say goodbye and wish you all the best. You deserve it." With that, we parted ways. It felt like the final chapter of a long, painful story had finally been written. I walked away feeling lighter, ready to fully embrace my new life. Back at home, Lisa and I continued to build our future together. Emma grew, bringing even more joy and laughter into our lives. We made new memories, celebrated milestones, and faced challenges with the confidence that we could overcome anything together. As I look back on everything, I realized that the journey wasn't just about betrayal and consequences. It was about growth, resilience, and the power of love. It was about finding the strength to rebuild, to trust again, and to create something beautiful out of the ashes of the past. Thank you all for following along with my story. Your support has meant the world to me. As I move forward, I'm filled with hope and excitement for the future. Stay strong, everyone, and remember that no matter how dark things may seem, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. Here's to new beginnings in the promise of a brighter tomorrow.